Dave Weiss here with the amokblog32 video blog. I had one more thing I wanted to share today. I've been watching the show Work of Art, maybe you've been watching it too, and I wanted to talk a little bit about this week's challenge. And basically this week's challenge was they asked the folks to do something that represented their childhood and when they first realized they were an artist, and they had to use only childhood art materials and all that other stuff, and they came up with some really interesting pieces. But one of the pieces I want to talk to you about today is not one of the pieces that was in the top. As a matter of fact, it was one of the bottom pieces. But before I talk about it, I just want to ask you the question: when did you first realize you were an artist? Think about it. When did it first click with you that this was something you really wanted to do, and that you really felt like you might be pretty good at it? For me, the piece that I want to talk about today really related to me, and maybe that's why I was really shocked when it was in the bottom. It was a piece done by Abdi. Now, Abdi is probably my favorite artist in the show, and if he ever sees that, I just want to say he's really great. He does really great artwork, but this piece he got hammered for, and for the life of me, I didn't quite get it. Now, it wasn't one of the great, awesome paintings that he does, or sculptures, or any of that other stuff. It was a pretty simple piece, but again, it was supposed to represent childhood and when you first discovered you were an artist. And what he did was he basically took paper and he asked everybody what was the first thing people asked him to draw. And they gave him all this stuff, and he drew those things, and that was what his piece was. He displayed them all in kind of this big square. And like I say, it probably wasn't the most awesome piece that he's ever done, but I really related to it because I think that was when I first realized that I was an artist. You know, I think I've done art most of my life. You know, I was drawing Tippy. You remember that little character they used to put for the art school when I was probably 3 or 4 years old, you know. So I've been doing this all my life, but, you know, I think I first realized that there was something to it in school. I was one of those kids that got picked on a lot. Maybe you were too, I don't know, or maybe you were one of the fortunate few. But anyway, you know, I took a lot of grief in school. But there was one thing that people would come to me. They would always come to me and ask me to draw things for them. Whether it be they'd have me draw something on their notebook or whatever, you know, or draw a picture of their favorite band logo or all that stuff. But that was something that, you know, that was something people came to me that I could do for them. And I started to realize this is pretty cool. This is something that I can do that other people can't do quite as well. And it was one of the first things that really made me feel special in life, was this ability to create stuff. And Abdi talked about his mom really championing him, and me, it was my grandmother, my Nana. She was the one who really kind of took advantage of this gift that I had and really started to help me to take advantage of it, I should say, and she always got me supplies and all this other stuff and really encouraged my creativity. If you have somebody like that in your life, and if they're still around, you really ought to thank them, because what they've done is they brought out something that God put in you. Remember that verse that I'm sure I've shared on here before, Ephesians 2:10, for we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good works that God prepared in advance for us to do. You were created and gifted with special gifts, and one of the special gifts you have is your art and your creativity. I don't know when you first realized that you had the gift, but I'm hoping you realize that the gift comes from God, and He gave it to you to make a difference in this world. Use your gift today. God bless.